Hey everyone, I just skated into my winter retreat here in the icy forest. It sure is cold out here in the icy forest. Perfect time for an ice cool drink and some ice cold VQnA. What we're gonna do, as always, is we're gonna dig through every single comment left on the previous VQnA, which means VQnA number 2 is now closed. If you leave comments there, you're welcome to, but I'm not gonna respond to them. You gotta put them on this one, number 3. The last VQnA I thought went well. Got a lot of responses, a lot more than VQnA number 1 did, which means this one might be kind of long. It would be funny if these keep getting progressively longer and longer, but you know, we'll just play it by ear. We'll see what happens. It's crackling fire going here. Just get this crackling fire going. Ooh, there it is. Oh, yeah. I'm also posting all of my Extra Life stream archives if you feel like watching some video gaming, reliving the stream, or if you weren't there for Extra Life. This fire's kind of loud. I'll just put it out. I'm gonna read through these. I think I'm seeing them from the start. If I do miss your comment from VQnA 2, feel free to bring it over to this one. Just tell me you're bringing it over so it's not too confusing. And this will be great. First question comment is, oh, it scrolled back to the top. First question is from Pro Winder, who says, hope you had a great day. Next question is from Jay the Radical, who says, Jebediah Humperdinck, isn't he that actor? Yes, he is that actor. GOA asks, will you do the Technobots and Rust Renegades from the Combiner Wars lines? I will. I want to do all the Combiner Wars guys, but I want to do a cool scene for each one, which means it'll probably take me a while. But I really, really want to do it, so I still think I'm gonna. Yin Redux says, do you think you will talk about the new NECA aliens based on the Kenner alien series, such as the Mantis alien, which I think you will really like, or the Gorilla alien, which is my personal jam? I would like to hear your point of view, Mr. Reviewer Man. Usually I don't go too deep into the NECA lines because often I find I like one figure and then I'll pick up 3 more to go with it and I get kind of disappointed as I go down that curve. However, I am going to probably review at least one Kenner NECA alien because I got a really good deal on something, which has caused me to go get another thing. That'll all make sense sometime in the future. It might have to do with hover motorcycles made out of knives, because I can't remember the name of the thing. It's the vehicle. And it has a rider, and everyone told me there's a certain predator that's supposed to go with it, and I just followed everyone's advice, because why would I think for myself when I have Twitter to do the thinking for me? Psycho_Sunset says, thoughts on Unrustable Bastards Kickstarter? Oh, well, Psycho_Sunset then replied, never mind. Great podcast, though. Matrix of Nerd says, keep quality up. Quantity is less important. Also, do you have any Beast Wars figures and any Go Boys? If so, which toy is your favorite from each of the listed toy lines? Also, when will we see the return of Auxiliary Vangelus? You already have seen the return of Auxiliary Vangelus. We're just very good around here on this production team of making sure you don't know when it's Auxiliary Vangelus. As for the Beast Wars figures, I have lots of Beast Wars figures back over on the West Coast. I don't have many Go Boys, but I have been in the market for some Go Boys. It's just that it's hard. You go to the wrong province, and sometimes you think, oh, it seems like a great place to grab some Go Boys, and you find out Go Boy purchasing is illegal in those provinces. So I gotta figure out how legal it is to import a Go Boy I might have met over in Alberta to come to Ontario. It's difficult stuff. As for quality and quantity in a perfect world is less important, but on YouTube, it does have a certain mote of importance, because if I don't have a lot of quantity, I find often people think I've stopped making videos while I'm working on some videos, and you gotta stay in subscription feeds, is my understanding. Secret Code, it's a weird name, says, bring me some Swiss Chalet. No, you should come here to get some Swiss Chalet. I'm not here to do things for you, Secret Code. Darth Jono says, what happened to Butt P? I'm not sure. I don't recall how much of a relationship I had with Butt P. if that was something that was on my table, or if it's just something that was passing by. So I'm not sure what happened to Butt P. Toy Cash with a K says, I would just like to say that it was awesome to run into you at TFCon Chicago 2016, and I forgot to ask you for a shout out. Instagram, toy_cash/YouTube, Toy Cash. I was the kid that ran into you while you were waiting in line for the Mastermind creation stuff and sat next to you at the Combiner Wars panel. One, what kind of lights do you use? What would you recommend? Don't use these lights, because I don't own these. These are natural lights. You can't own the sun. But when I'm filming toys, I use LED lights. Those are my personal favorite because they are not very hot. I got a really good deal on some Spectra 500S's and a Spectra 900F. You probably shouldn't just buy those, though. To be quite honest, until you have really settled into really wanting to film toys long term, I would recommend just using desk lamps. Get a bunch of desk lamps. Get at least 3 of them. One here, and then one in the middle. And operate with that first, is my recommendation. Question number 2. What are your opinions on this new simple editor called Filmora? I don't have any experience with Filmora, but if it's simple and new and not expensive, then I can't see how it would be bad. I find people who have very strong opinions on what editing program you use are often coming from a place of weird product loyalty. Really, as long as you are able to edit with a program, that's the only important thing. If someone thinks that a program could do the same thing better, by all means look into it, but if you're having a perfectly good time producing perfectly good results with a piece of software, it doesn't really matter, you know? Question number 3, when it comes to collecting, do you buy everything or pick and choose? I try real hard to pick and choose. I've been getting better at that. The problem with buying everything is then you are out of money. So picking and choosing is a superior approach, but it's difficult, you know? I am very much subject to the siren song of oh, I have 3 out of 5 of this line of figures. I should maybe just pick up the other 2. And then the worst thing I do is I say, I mean, that way when I review them, I can review the whole line. And then I never review the whole line. Question number 4. When you got your Fans Toys Quakewave, did the light in his head blink? Because I got the reissue from TFCon and I have that problem. It did not. But that could just be the case of slightly faulty wiring. There's all kinds of reasons why that light could be blinking, but it is not on mine. I'm sorry that yours is, and I wish I knew how to fix it, but I am not good with a solder gun. Terry's Nerd Stuff says, can I get a shameless shout out so my channel can get that sweet, sweet Vangelus bump? Why would I shout out Terry's Nerd Stuff, a YouTube channel which I assume is called Terry's Nerd Stuff? That's 3 words, apostrophe S, as though possessive for Terry. Terry's Nerd Stuff. What kind of sweet bump would that get? How do you know my bump is sweet? Are you making assumptions because I look like I have a sweet bump? Is that the thing? You're not even looking at my face, you're looking at my bump? Is it? Yeah, my eyes are up here, buddy. Huh? Yeah. Terry's Nerd Stuff. I need to not turn this phone sideways, because when I do, it resets to the top, and I have to find my place again. Signas7. What would you consider one of your most sought-after action figure, whether it be Transformer, Kamen Rider, etc.? And if you have hopefully already obtained it, did it live up to your hype for it? I'm trying to think, because I go through most sought-after action figures constantly, because I'm a greedy little boy. So I'm trying to think here. There are some machine robo pieces that I've recently become very interested in seeking out. The Double Machine Robo original trio, specifically. And I found Helitancer was right exactly what I was hoping for. I was very pleasantly surprised, because I usually set myself up to really want something, and then once I paid for it, I start convincing myself, oh no, that was a bad idea, that was terrible, it's going to suck, it's going to be awful. That one went well. There have been ones that didn't go well. Usually Hot Toys don't go well, because man, do Hot Toys look good until you try posing them, and then you realize that they're wearing skin-tight tiny costumes that can't pose, or they've got rubber skin that shreds apart over time, and man, Hot Toys is my disappointmentville. That's where I come from when I want to have a half-empty glass. Jim McKinney says, if they were to do a human representation of Optimus in the live-action movies, who would you want cast as the human embodiment of Movie Prime? I mean, probably Peter Cullen. because that would be the most logical. But yeah, I'd say Peter Cullen. If it can't be him, it's got to be someone with his mustache. There are a lot of people with good mustaches. Sam Elliott. His name was right on the tip of my tongue. That actor with the mustache. He's in a movie once where he tastes some paint. You know who I'm talking about. Anyone with a mustache really is my choice for that character. Dust Buster. I like your new slam transformations. Slam formation in parentheses. However, is this the end of your epic transformation montages? I still love those. That's not the end of those. In fact, I think that I've done one of those since I've been doing the slam transformations. The slam transformations are mostly when it's a toy I've either already transformed on camera before, or if it's like I'm transforming him back to another mode when I'm going to turn him into a limb or something. It's mostly there for expediency. And also because if I don't have a dramatized transformation in mind, I hate trying to force one to happen because I find I'm usually incredibly unhappy with ones that I have made happen when I didn't really want to. You know, don't push them out. Just eat enough of that creative fiber so it slides out of the ejection hole of your creative mind. Ezim93, have you been reading IDW's Revolution? And if so, what are your thoughts on how they're integrating all of Hasbro's IPs? I think it's a bummer that Gem is not part of the Revolution thing that happened, but otherwise I think Revolution was pretty good for what it was trying to do. It was the right balance of ridiculous and kind of stupid, and clearly having fun with what it was doing. The only bummer really is that Mask and G.I. Joe were sort of the casualties because their entire casts came off as quite stupid in the books, G.I. Joe particularly. I don't mind because of all the franchises involved, those were kind of the bottom two for me. Except for maybe Action Man. I keep forgetting Action Man was in Revolution, but I thought it was a cool way to do it. The thing that I think was its strength is that it wasn't all these IPs are coming together, it was all the other ones are joining the Transformers universe. And since the Transformers IDW universe is so solid and set, that's, I think, kind of the way to do it. Obviously, I have biases because I like Transformers the most. But there you go. Mblom52 says at 15 minutes and 06 in VQnA number 2, it wasn't not sexy. I don't remember what happened in that video. Dirge12 with a U. Are there any transforming action figures out there that you desire greatly but have yet to acquire? Studio half-eye pieces. Top of my list. I really wish I had more studio half-eye pieces. Weekly Hero says, what obscure Transformers character are you waiting to get a third-party figure? And what other toy line would you like to see adapted into Transformers by way of a third-party figure, like a transforming Ninja Turtles figure? Follow-up question, have you been following Valiant's Online? I think I hear about Valiant's Online now and then, if it's one of the City of Heroes successors. I'm assuming it is. As for obscure characters to get third-party and what other toy line, I would like to see third-party Transformers crossovers. Darkwing Duck. As for obscure characters like the Skuckzoid, I want third-party Skuckzoid. Skuckzoid's the best character in G1. Obviously. Liz Solano asks, what were the most disappointing figures you've ever experienced, high-priced and low-priced? I can't remember, but off the top of my head, ones that I know were quite disappointing are any Hot Toys, because, man, like, I like posability over looks, and so that stuff clearly is not jive with me as much as I wish it did. Also, a lot of Jazzwares, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter stuff. That was kind of hot mess. Titans Return Galvatron, because I just wish there were better Galvatron toys out there. And... man, that noise is so irritating. To be honest, Mastermind Creations Jaegertron has this one little thing that I find very annoying, which is his legs are always kind of curved a little bit. He can't fully straighten his legs out. And for my posing preferences, that's a hindrance. I can still get him into poses. I just can never get him looking calm and looming. Bad Mr. Gary says, the mention of COH has me feeling pretty nostalgic. I played pretty much non-stop since being in the beta. What server did you play on? What was your main hero, villain, archetype powers? Thanks. I played on Virtue server, the roleplay server. I ran Shin Sector, Katana Regeneration Scrapper. I also ran Vangelus, a Radiation Defender, a whole bunch of other characters too. On villain side, my main guy was the 12th King. 12th King, who was a robot force field mastermind, as well as Manny Della Locust, who was a thug pistols mastermind. Malavus was an electricity brute. Corpsotica was a plant psi dominator. Whole bunch of characters. I loved my City of Heroes characters. They were kind of like a whole little creative universe in my head. I just got a text message from Kryn saying that my Irish accent reminds her of something, but the message just disappeared, so now I can't remember anymore what I was talking about. But City of Heroes was great. I had a lot of alts. I maxed out my account for alts. Such good times. Man out of time 913. Question: how do you keep such a nice goatee? Well, again, first, I don't know if this is a goatee because it goes up here, and there's like people who get very particular about that and how you define facial hair. Mine's not particularly nice. It's just that I have, one of those trimmers where you set a certain length, and then every couple of days I run over it to sort of, get all the hairs to be shorter. So, trim the ends off. Basically, if you want to have facial hair, the thing that helps is trim the tips off. That way you don't have old dead hair on your face. You get all the dead stuff off and let the new stuff grow in. It's sort of like cultivating meat if hair was meat and was a plant. Makes complete sense. On a more serious note, which line do you think is stronger? Is it Classics, Universe, Henkei, Reveal the Shield, third-party design, that style included? Or is it today's generation, Combiner Wars, Titan Returns, etc.? Once again, third parties in that style included. Personally, that Classics Henkei stuff feels a lot more solid and aesthetically pleasing to me. Classics Henkei, that whole 2010 era, up to 2010 era, is going to feel more solid because that's before the whole structure of how toys were made by Hasbro changed with the rise of oil costs. So those were thicker toys with thicker parts and just more parts. I'm always torn because honestly, it's kind of equal to me. There's stuff I like on both ends of that 2012 flip, and what I find is the often overlooked part of post 2012 Transformers that I think is really clever is the way that a lot of transformations in engineering was, I don't know if streamlined is quite the right word, but stuff was made a lot more efficient out of necessity, and it started off with the fairly weak Fall of Cybertron line, but once you move into like Combiner Wars and Titan's Return, I think that the streamlining and efficiencyizing of the toy designs has gotten a lot more subtle and is its own form of impressive work, in my opinion. We got a question here from a young up-and-coming YouTuber called Seth Looks, who says, the guy that can't remember my name stinks. Here's a question for next time while I'm here. Who would win in a fight? Also, I take it super personal Vangelus didn't pick me to be the whatever he was picking one of us to be, ... I'm very insecure. Well, the one who would win in a fight would probably be Mighty Mouse, because no one thinks Mighty Mouse can do it. Everyone says Superman, Batman, Captain Power, Captain Planet, Ultraman, Kamen Rider. They all ignore Mighty Mouse, who is the power of Superman in the size of a mouse. Maybe you've heard of ants, all right? Maybe you've heard of Ant-Man. Maybe you've heard of Inferno, the fire ant, Predacon. Maybe someone's shaking their head behind the camera, but listen, Mighty Mouse is basically everything great about ants in the body of a mouse. My sleeve stuck on the arm of the chair for a second. Matthias Kangas says, what are your thoughts on Transformers The Last Night so far, and what do you hope to see? I hope that it's fun to watch. I hope it is as cartoony as Age of Extinction. I hope that the levels of characters being legitimately unpleasant is up there. And yeah, I don't know. I never really go in expecting to see like a good movie, but I'm very interested to see what the story feels like, because it is I think the first project coming out of the new writer's room with Akiva Goldsman and etc. So I don't know. Also, there's more evil movie Optimus, which is, it just continues to make me think they're reading my Twitter account and not telling me or crediting me or anything. But it's all good, purple eyes. Purple eyes are fun. Andrew Elliott, Vangelus, do you prefer cake or pie? Cake. TFR, and then holding down caps lock, WLDNAS. VQnA question, as you have reviewed Tobot Adventure Z, have you considered reviewing any more KTRTs? That's Korean transforming robot toys. If so, then might I suggest you look at the Hello Carbot line. I've got 1 or 2 figures from Hello Carbot. I think only 1. Yeah, only 1. But I did mean to review that back when I got it, and I still would like to. Hello Carbot is just, like, both lines are quite expensive due to shipping, and I found that Hello Carbot didn't feel as tactile impressive to me as the era of Tobots I'm really into. Everything I'm seeing from the Tobot Athlon is kind of off-putting. Like, it seems like they're flimsier, kind of like how I felt the Hello Carbot stuff was compared to, you know, like the Deltatron era of Tobot. So, I want to get back to doing all that stuff. I have a little box of Tobots, and I really like them. Super Keaton. A 3 Faces of Optimus or Megatron would be fun. You could parse it down to G1, movie of your choice, masterpiece. Though, far be it from me to tell you what to do. I see what, yeah. Far be it from you to tell, but that's a good idea. That said, question, if you were to design a transforming action figure, who would it be, and what would it entail? This question may stem from my own notebook doodling of a line of Halo Transformers not dissimilar from the Star Wars Transformers. I would want to design, I had this thing, kind of rolling back, where a bunch of City of Heroes characters, City of Heroes had parallel dimensions in its fiction, so I thought, what if there was a dimension where everyone piloted a super robot and then they could all combine together? So I'd want to do that. I want to do that dimension Shin Sector and etc., like big, you know, grasshopper robot. I had a whole thing where Shin Sector had like a grasshopper man robot, and then like his partner Cricket had like a cricket robot, and they would combine all Gao style, where the cricket would turn into a cricket bat called the Cricket Hammer, and would like plug onto him as a glove, and like it was fun. And the Shin Sector robot had what was it? I thought of this thing. He'd have like a 6-barrel forearm cannon that shot giant needles called Revolver Magnum. That's about as far as I got, but yeah, I want to make that. Horrible Reed says, awesome vid. What the flip happened to G.I. Joe? He didn't say flip. I'm censoring. Did Dwayne kill it? G.I. Joe, he means. Awesome vid. G.I. Joe seems to be the center of the new Hasbro Cinematic Universe that they're doing. That doesn't seem to include Transformers, it's just everything else. So I think that whatever G.I. Joe is going to revolve around how well those films do in like a year or 3 when they come out. Shadow Magnus asks, how does the subtitles feel about helping you in the next This guy right over here, this guy. It's friggin', what a mess, a human mess this guy is. Human mess. But yeah, we can't get the subtitles to come in the VQnAs. It's outside of the subtitles contract, so we're just making do, you know. I've got this nice bird who might be coming back, so we'll see. Michael McLaughlin says, are you on the hype train for Planet X's Apocalypse, aka TFOC Triptychon? Yes, I like that they're doing that, especially with that Fans Toys Omega Supreme appearing to have like caused a big crater in the floor of the marketplace. I'm glad Planet X is still doing the thing that I think is 100 times more interesting than a large G1-looking Omega Supreme. I just like the video game designs more, and I think that like it's about a foot tall, looks like, just a big, beefy video game Triptychon. That makes me excited. I'm very much hoping to pick that up. I'm Old Greg says, question, it's stated on your DeviantArt page that XP is your operating system. What? It's stated on your DeviantArt page that XP is your operating system. How's it been working out? Also care to post an updated casserole recipe? It's been great, you know? We're filming this on Windows XP. Like, that's you think it's a camera. It's just a Windows XP box with, like, I put a bunch of glass cylinders in front of it and I programmed the XP. It's so efficient, so it's recording this video. It's been great. As for updated casserole recipes, like, I can't give you all my secrets, you know, you guys have to figure some stuff out for yourselves, and it's more satisfying if I'm not giving you all the answers to your casserole questions. Super Fighting Robot question, will we ever see some Mega Man stuff on here? Now there's stuff out there that isn't obscure as heck. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the D-Arts figures or Kotobukiya models. I really want to do more Mega Man coverage. I've got D-Arts, and I've got that, I don't have the blue version, but I've got a version or two of that newer Mega Man X figure that what's-their-name kickstarted, and I've completely forgotten their name, but you know what I'm talking about. I'd like to do something about that at some point. Arjun D1 says, would you consider reviewing Lego Bionices? Lego Bionices are not currently on my plate. I almost picked up some of those Bionices when they did the reboot a year or two ago, and then I didn't. And it's since kind of just fallen out of my mind. It's not really been on my mind. It's not really on my plate. It's not. I missed Bionices. I didn't notice when the toy line went. Well, I noticed because a whole bunch of people said, "Hey, you're going to do a video about the end of Bionices," but yeah, it's not really in my plans right now. eDogs20111 says, what is a really good RC figure? I think that the one they did a year or two ago, the Generations RC, that came out in the same wave with Chromia, if I remember right. Or no, I don't know. You know, the G1 style one that had the comic book pack in from, I think, 2013 or 2014. There's a Legends version as well. That's a good RC. It's not like a perfect figure, but I think it's a really cool RC figure. It's probably one of the best ones of the G1 character model. So check it out. Daniel Christian Smith, could you please review more Power Glides, like Dark of the Moon Power Glide, or X-Transbot's Glider, or Make Toys Bomber? Did you just name every other Power Glide on the market? Because if you did, I don't have all of them. I do have the Dark of the Moon one. Like, if you really want me to, I could bust that out. It's in a box somewhere. But yeah, Make Toys Bomber, I don't have anymore. I mean, obviously, it's not super hard to get a hold of another one, but I'm not in a rush. But Dark of the Moon Power Glide, maybe. If I remember, when I leave this Arctic tundra, if I remember, then, yeah, he's in a box. Lala, question. Do you think that once Takara and third parties give G1 nerds their fill of 84 through 87 G1 cast, that we might see a shift in a more interesting direction like third-party Unicron Trilogy stuff, or more Japanese G1 stuff, rather than the huge hard-on majority of third parties have for 84, 86 stuff? Also, do you think that we'll ever get any more Brave stuff? I don't think my life will be complete until I have representations of the X-Kaiser Geisters alongside an Armada Sideways with moving elbows. I think that a lot of people working on that stuff would like to, but there needs to be evidence that they'd be able to sell it to more than a couple hundred people, is the main roadblock. Right now, G1 commands a crowd of people who have the income to drop $300 to $500 a month on stuff that looks like the old cartoon. So, I don't know. I really want that to be an option, but in 2016, at the end of 2016, I'm feeling less and less hopeful that anyone can really take that risk without it going badly for them. And I really want to be proven wrong on that. Prove me wrong on that. AFanTX, that's with a PH, mind you, asks, are you determined to get all G1 Transformers? I think there's a splinter in my sleeve. Are you determined to get all G1 Transformers? No. That would be neat. But I find that because so many of those designs have had updated remakes, sometimes multiple times over the last 30 plus years, I find a lot of the G1 toys rather disappointing in hand. Also because I grew up with a good little chunk of them. I just, for whatever reason, with Transformers, the vintage side of it does not interest me nearly as much as the modern side of it. So no, I don't really have any major goal to try to have a full set of G1s. It's not on my plate. Jake Blankenship asks, Mr. Internet Personality, regardless of price, what Transformers Threep figure would you recommend the highest? And is it that just because it's your personal favorite, or do you recommend it for its engineering accuracy to source material, or all of those? Thanks for the great content. Here's the thing. If anyone recommends something to you, I would dare say it's because it's their personal favorite. For the recommendation to come for its engineering accuracy to source material, to me, that would be because that is my personal favorite aspect of it. The thing about third-party stuff is, with recommendations, there is such a wide swathe of reasons to want to pick any of that stuff up. I don't really have good recommendations because it depends on you. if you just want guys who look like the robot cartoon models from the cartoon show, there are companies catering to that. I find often those toys are not very fun to transform, so I have very little interest in them. I need the engineering to be fun. I need to enjoy the tactile play of the figure. That's why there are some companies who have an approach like, X-Transbots and Fans toys are very much the two modes sitting on a shelf is kind of the end result, and the transformation I find often suffers on those pieces. But for a lot of collectors, clearly, that transformation suffering is not nearly as important as how they look, so that's going to be one person's preference. For people like myself, I think Iron Factory is one of the best companies. Most of their pieces are super fun to play with. They're also smaller scale and a very specific aesthetic. That might not be your thing. So this is one of those questions where I don't really have a good answer for you because I don't think there is one. And if someone tells you they have a good answer, they are speaking through their personal biases. And I dare say that I would challenge them to prove me wrong on that. Me and my fire poker here. I think we know what we're talking about. It's not sticking in the snow very well. Optimus Prime 811, hello, says, I've heard you like the show Once Upon a Time. My question is, who is your favorite character in the show, and have you caught up on the most recent seasons? Keep up the Beast Wars Megatron voice. Excellent work, and love your videos. Smiley face. I kind of stopped watching after about 3 episodes of the season where they introduced the Frozen characters because I found it was getting kind of boring. I'm probably going to go back to it at some point because, man, that stuff is good potato chips. But I'm a Mr. Gold fan. Mr. Gold, Rumpelstiltskin, that's some good stuff. And if you've not watched Once Upon a Time, you're missing out on one of the greatest visual representations of kind of trashy teenage fan fiction that's ever had a lot of money spent on it to still somehow not look incredibly good. But man, it's fun. It's just so naive and wholesomely what if Cinderella and Snow White and Little Red Riding Hood were not only badass warrior chicks, but also teamed up to fight flying monkeys and Maleficent and the witch from Wizard of Oz and nonsense, and Rumpelstiltskin. What if Rumpelstiltskin was also the crocodile from Peter Pan and was the beast from Beauty and the Beast? It's true. Think about it. And what if his dad was Peter Pan? Mr. Gold, that's where the money is. Caio Catarino, question, what do you know about Brazil? It's down there. And I think Blanca comes from Brazil in Street Fighter 2. That's about all I got. Forest Logic, what's your favorite food? I'm a fan of meat and a fan of cakes. And also kind of big on spinach. So some kind of spinach meat cake would probably be my perfect, most favorite food. Jack Wilson says, "These nuts?" And then says, "Yes, I made Vangelus say these nuts. No question, I'm done." I'm glad I was able to answer your question. Think about it. J-Man DX. I was going to try to draw a DX in front of me with my finger, and it just went. It just went immediately. I couldn't even finish the D. J-Man DX says, crap, I forgot to give you a Headmaster fan zone at TFCon. You want it. It fits Blaster real good. Sure. Just throw it over here. I'll catch it. Come on, just right now. Come on, J-Man. Just toss it. It's how this works. Ghidorah number 1 says, do you play Overwatch, and are you going to review DX9's Free Man? You also say you don't have inspiration for the intro things, but people love them. But what if you ask someone who does? Hints. Alright, so number 1, do I play Overwatch? I've been meaning to go through the Overwatch tutorial for about 4 months now, so I'm almost there. I'm going to jump right in, right at the right time. And I'm going to probably be one of the best players. You just watch and see. I don't remember who DX9's Free Man is, unless that's the Bastion figure they're doing. Hang on, I'm getting something from the newsroom. Yes, okay, they're Bastion. Yeah, I would like to try to track that down, because I think it looks really cool. And if you haven't heard on the WTF TFW podcast, there's a lengthy segment in one of the episodes, the one where me and Seth are talking about the TFCon slides, where I didn't realize Freeman was Bastion, and I said, hey, it's cool how DX9's doing an original design, and Seth was just silent and just let me keep digging a hole for a good, like, minute and a half. You also say you don't have inspiration for the intro things, but people love them, but what if you ask someone who does? Now, if you're trying to say you want to write the script for an intro thing, that's a cool idea, but then you should just make it, because the way that I do the intros right now is not nearly organized enough to actually use someone else's script. Like, it's semi-improvised. It's a real mess. Like, you shouldn't watch me making those. It's terrible. So yeah, I would rather just see people make their own intros, because I think it would be better if everyone was having fun and being creative with this stuff. I don't know. Make one, and then post it as a reply to this VQnA. Can we do that still? Are there video responses? No? Okay. We'll figure something out. Just make one. Do it. JManDX is back. He says, also, we can chat about how I generate written reviews if you want, sugar. Well, Sweetums, why don't we have a go at it, Tasty Cakes? Just pop me out one of your little explanations about your written reviews. You cinnamon toast Pop-Tart, and we'll dunk that in some milk and have a little bit of a bite. You bowl of Frosted Flakes. You candy cane. You peppermint patty. You sucralose packet. You. Captain Slowbro, how can one get more active in the Transformers fandom? By posting stuff. I don't know. That's the best thing I can think of. Get active, converse with people, reach out to those who do not seem to be too poisonous, and just create more fun, productive, positive conversations that are enriching. And do what you can to not be one of the loud, angry, shouty people. Which is not to say you shouldn't criticize things. It's just loud, angry, shouty people are usually kind of like that swamp that nicer folks are trying to wade through to get to more interesting conversation. Paige Miller says, oh, damn! I want to ask a question, but I don't know what to say. And then this is in all capitals. How are you going to tackle the post-MP10 Masterpiece reviews? I would have assumed sequentially, but Hot Rod threw that whole thing off, and now I can't trust you. Yeah, that's how I feel about me. Hot Rod threw off what I wanted to do. I've written the reviews for the Hisui era, but now it's like, oh, I should film Titan's Return, because that's a more prudent thing to do. I should deal with the review samples I receive. And then Masterpiece just keeps sliding down this large slide. But yeah, my plan is to do the Hisui era, your Lambor, Prowl, Bumblebee, Ultra Magnus, Wheeljack, not, in the order of release, not that order. That's the current plan. I might do Ironhide and Inferno before then, because they're post-Hisui era, and I've now set a precedent with Hot Rod, who I mostly reviewed because I got that Repro label set for review as well, and I'm a particular little boy about doing things in a particular way. We'll find out. It'll all work out in the end. Don't worry about it. I'm right there with you. All right, I'm right there in the driver's seat beside you in your driver's seat. And why are our cars next to each other? I don't know, but it's gonna go great. Gashicon Hunter XX. Will you ever look at the items from the Kamen Rider Ghost or Kamen Rider X-Aid toy lines? And at that, will you ever look at Kamen Rider stuff again? Yes. I want to mostly look at fig arts, though. I don't really pick up the DX toys all that much anymore. Roleplay stuff, I'm not really interested in buying new roleplay stuff, but through the YouTube Space Tioku stuff I've been shooting, I want to look at more roleplay things, even if they're older. Because thanks to, not this space, this is a frozen tundra outdoors. But when I'm at the actual YouTube Space, my plan is to use that larger filming area to have better looks with another speaker at, roleplay stuff. Whew, so chilly out here. Nice to have a nice, warm, toasty Coke Zero to help you when you're out here in the elements. Whew. Baron Von Psychopath says, question, Generations Tankor? Oh, also, thanks for getting me hooked on Yohei DX. God, I hate that toy. So, yeah. Charles A. Emmanuel says, in a 5 to 10 page essay typed double space, compare and contrast Kafka's metamorphosis with the Transformers transformations. How are the respected characters need to change to conform in society the same and different? I've actually got it all done right here. I got it, since I'm out here in the woods, I've just been carving it on the side of this piece of wood. So it's in the mail. You know, I shaved off a copy, like that Japanese art where they compress wood together and shave pieces off in paper. I shaved a copy off. It should be getting to you sometime in the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, I'm burning the original for the sake of, you know, my own Kafka-esque transformation. I'm transforming the wood from wood to burned wood. I call it ash. Look it up. Quewennay says, what's up with the video? There's some sort of banding, :D. I don't know. I saw that in the uploaded version, so I went back to the most base source video, and it was there too. And we didn't see it on the LCD, on the camera, so I have no idea why there was that banding. So it's intentional. You know, it's stylistic. You know, maybe get a film education and see how I'm referring to some of that, you know, that movie 8.5, whatever, you know, by that French guy. It's artistic. Battle Up Saber. Question, how did you get on Channel Awesome? Also, why do you think people keep insisting on holding those submarines upside down? It's like they're guns or something. Sheesh. Hopefully that joke will still be relevant when you read this. Click. There's just layers in that question. That's layers. That's upside down submarines, podcast clicks. Don't tell people when you're joking, because you got to see if there are people out there who think that, you know, that you're supposed to hold submarines upside down. We got to find those deviants and get them out of society. I got on Channel Awesome because back in like 2009, 2010, when I joined that site, they were just having one of those talent pickups, and so I just sent them a bunch of videos I made, and then they said, "Cool, join up." And that's how I joined. Things over at Channel Awesome have changed greatly since then, as well as kind of their entire approach to site aggregate video posts that are not from their own Chicago studio. So, I don't know, it's weird. I just sort of slid in. I think I was one of the minority of people who were coming off YouTube and not Blip, so I've always kind of just slid in, hung around on the side, and now I'm just double hanging around on the side. Is weird. Percy Constance, hey, have you got a Hasbro Lyo Kaiser? Hey, have you got a Hasbro Lyo Kaiser? Not yet, sucker. Cool. Percy Constance also asks, have you seen TJ Omega use your TFW 2005 audio? I have not seen him use the audio, because audio is, I would heard him use, actually, I actually don't know what you're talking about, but I assume it's for a video of his. I might have seen it. I don't know. He's on the podcast. People can use the podcast audio as they please. Last question from Percy Constance. Who is your favorite Gurren Lagann character and why? Mine is Yoko. I'm a big fan of Simon the Digger. I just like his story arc. And generally, I feel like he's kind of the star. Guess what? He's the star of the show. For real, he's the star of the show. But I also think he's a real linch point star of the show. There are a lot of other characters who are fun to look at, but Simon the Digger, I think, is the most fun all throughout. Like, you know, Kitan gets pretty neat at parts, especially by the end, but early on, sort of a jokey character, so I don't know. I'm a Simon the Digger fan. That's what I think. British Columbia, BC, asks, have you ever considered doing stop-motion animation? If so, how would you have set up the story? Would it have been a movie, a series, a short story, something to goof around with? Oh, most definitely something to goof around with. But if I knew how to do stop-motion animation, it would probably be more elaborate. Thing is, I don't really know how to do stop-motion animation. I don't have the patience for it. I don't entirely comprehend how you deal with stuff like the toys falling over. Like, do you just have to start over? Or do you just reset the shot and hope it'll all work out in post? Like, that, I can't deal with all that stuff. This is... Ugh. Freaks me out. But, yeah, I would probably just do goofy stuff until I got better, and then I would do a short story until I got better, then I would do a series until I got better, then I would do a movie, I think. Seems like a natural progression. Grant Weatherby says, Vangelus, while I like the new instant change style of your Transformers review, why the change from your previous style of commenting on the transformation process? Well, I haven't changed the style because I am still doing that one. The instant change stuff is when it's a toy where I've already talked about its transformation process in a previous review, like because it's a repaint, or if I'm transforming it back for another mode. Like, basically, anything that I do does not replace something I'm already doing. Usually it's there for a reason. There's no scenario by which I will stop commenting on the transformation. Like, that's always my initial base go-to version of doing things. If you see something else, then that transformation has been commented on in a previous review. You just gotta go find the first version of that toy, and then, you know, Bob's your father's mother's other son. XMXUX, where does the name Vangelus come from? How did you come up with it? What a question, man. I'm leaving this one up to you. The name Vangelus comes from when I was a teenager. Me and some friends used to play Counter-Strike Beta 3. And one friend of mine said, hey, we should do a clan where everyone's name starts with a lowercase e and then everything else is uppercase. And since I was a teenager, I said, yo, you know what would sound cool? Evangelus. And so we played for like 2 weeks and the clan broke up, and then I thought, hey, what if I take the E off? It says Vangelus. Well, that sounds cool. I found out like 8 years later that some scumbag stole my name and spelt it wrong with an IS, and then went back in time and wrote the score for Blade Runner and then some other movies. But that's the story of how I came up with the name, is I was a teenager playing Counter-Strike Beta 3. David Salamante says, what happens when the Bay movies significantly decrease in popularity? They probably get someone else to direct one and see if that brings the popularity back up. And then if that doesn't work, then the movies go away for a while and Transformers becomes a less valuable property. Probably inevitable, but I don't know when or if. And the new writer's room has me thinking that they are already having a contingency plan in place to do their own thing if the Michael Bay train does truly stop for them as far as money goes. Queen's Stodge says, I do a few written picture reviews. I can probably show you the entire thought process going into it via video if you're interested in that. I am. I think you should make that video. I think process videos are super cool, especially inside the already small niche of like people who do thoughtful coverage within this fandom. I think it's totally worth it. Lazy by name, I see you do improv on Twitter. How is it going? Who are some of your favorite improvisers? It's going great. I just finished Second City Level E, so I'm done their basic improv program, and I really had fun. I grew up watching Whose Line, so obviously like my favorite improvisers are probably coming from that usual pack of names. But I think improv is really valuable. I think it's something that on the basic levels, everyone should do. Because it's not really about, oh, who's the funny man? Who's going to go and perform and be the funny man? Who's the funniest guy in the office? The first opening levels of nearly any improv program I've gone to, not just Second City, it's more based on a lot of really good mental exercises, and this is mental training that is useful in the real world. It's all about being able to get over the fact that a lot of us second guess ourselves when we talk, that a lot of us dwell on things that we've just said and keep thinking about them after the fact and regret stuff or are afraid of saying the wrong thing and failing. A lot of improv really helps with that. Like, I'm a person, if I try to say something and I try to interject in a conversation and no one hears it and the conversation just continues, in past, like, that would just make me shut down and be like, oh, I screwed up. Well, they all know that I tried to talk and I didn't. They're all going to think I'm stupid. And so improv really helps develop the ability to let that happen and then go like, oh, well, whatever, throw that away, let's just continue with the conversation. Also, not dwelling on saying the wrong thing. Equally so, not dwelling on saying the right thing, saying something really funny, everyone chuckles. It's real easy to then like get your head stuck up your own butt, just going like, hot damn, I dropped a hot quip. Oh boy, man, I'm cool. What, you talking to me still? Huh? I didn't pay attention to anything you said. You gotta... It's really worth doing for all of the great mental exercises it can teach you. And this is all before you would get to a point where they would then have you going on stage and performing. Like, performance being the reason why most people do improv, performance is one of the least important parts of improv. And I would highly recommend anyone watching this, like, look and see if there is anyone offering improv courses in your town that you live in, and just try the intro course and see if that offers the same kind of mental elasticity exercises and techniques that I feel it has taught me. Certainly, they are not things I've mastered, because I only started doing this heavily, like, this year, back in the spring. But, like, man, it is just enriching stuff. Lawrence Retiro! Would you consider to play other games for video games? Yes. Also, will you still review any Acid Rain toys? I intend to, because I still have some to review. I gotta review that speeder thing, the little with wheels. Pit ZX2, what are the chances of you picking up any of the Metacom Super Action statues? If those are the JoJo toys, hang on, just getting a word from the office above that they are the JoJo toys. I almost bought one once, but I haven't watched JoJo yet, so I feel weird about buying toys. So, maybe when I watch JoJo. The thing is, by the time I watch JoJo, those toys, that whole line is probably going to be over, and I'll just be sitting there in a little puddle of regret going like, well, I should have watched JoJo earlier so I could have understood the roundabout meme. But, you know, this is how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So right now, no, but only because I'm not connected to the source material. Spino Guy Productions, I don't know if you've answered this, but where did you get the idea for the subtitles? When I was trying to make my very first video review, I did like 15 different takes, and I kept throwing them out because I felt like they weren't perfect. And so the way I got over that, because I also didn't know how to edit at the time, was I would just go through and add in subtitles to fill in the gaps where I thought I screwed up, so I would be the one calling me out, not any of those scumbags watching the video. And that's kind of how the subtitles started. Since then, I just enjoy having them there as a thing. I understand they aren't for everybody. Like, they are highly off-putting for some people. And then conversely, the idea of them going away is highly off-putting for some people. So I just try to find a balance, and I keep that balance very gray and amorphous as far as what it is. That's really about it. They're a collection of letters on the bottom of the screen, an asexual collection of letters that form a sentence or sometimes two sentences. Those are the subtitles, capital T, capital S. Biofan813, what are your thoughts on Kamen Rider X-Aid? Are you enjoying the gaming theme for each rider? Have the LVUR piqued your interest like the Gaim AC figures? They haven't, but that's only because, like, the Gaim AC figures, as much as I like them, the shine on them kind of vanished a whole lot once the fig arts came out. So I've decided I'm just going to hold off on all that stuff, especially when it's new. I think X-Aid looks fun. I haven't started watching it quite yet as of this recording, but I'm just sort of waiting for some episodes to stack up. It sounds like I'm going to enjoy it. Like, it doesn't sound like it does anything that I would hate. So I'm looking forward to it. I like the ways that I've seen them lean into gaming as a theme. It seems like it's on topic. So it's on my to-do list. Biofan813 also says, do you have any interest in the Platinum Combiner Wars Lyo Kaiser set for Entertainment Earth? Will we ever see it on this channel? Yeah, I mean, I just gotta get it. I'm waiting for it to be the right price. In Canada, it's on Walmart.ca, and it's already gone down once, and I'm just hemming and I'm hemming and hawing, and I've already got a set of Shapeways ankle tilts in white, just sitting there waiting for it. So eventually, it will be mine. Because it would be really weird if that's the one thing I skip from Combiner Wars after having picked up literally everything else. I can't pass up Lyo Kaiser. Felix Antonio, you have such a quality in your videos. I really love how you transform your toys and the sound effects you add. Also, I love Transformers movies, but I hated the last one. I couldn't see one freaking transformation but Optimus Prime and Drift. Here's my question. Do you feel comfortable with those horrible transformations? Because that's not even cheating. That's something even worse than that. I think it's hilarious, actually, that Age of Extinction, not only did it only really show two guys transform in detail, but like that Optimus Prime transformation, like that was showing their hand. It's like, here's a truck, the truck kind of breaks apart, and then it sucks into the stomach of a robot who's standing up behind it. Like, it's hilarious. Like, I wouldn't say it's like I love it or anything. I don't hate it because it's so, I guess, egregious that there's something endearing about that. And if I want to see really good transformation, there are places I can already see it. It is a shame that it's not really the live-action Transformers movies, but, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I keep slapping this thing. I think I'm like 2 seconds away from just putting like a 12-inch splinter through the bottom of my finger, but, you know, makes for good video. The infamous Shade. 2 questions. 1, what is the fourth party? The fourth party's in your heart. Number 2, if you and Pia fought in gladiatorial combat, who would win, and who would that winner then get to fight next? I would win because I wouldn't tell Pia that it's happening, so I'd just sneak up behind him and hit him with a pipe. And I guess who I'd fight next would be like whoever might walk into the room, because leave no witnesses. If there's one thing I've learned from Hitman, it's you leave no witnesses, and you find a box to put everyone in, and then throw fire extinguishers at them. It's very simple. It's a craft. Zimman2 says, I have heard it asserted that Shin Godzilla is propaganda that either fetishizes Japan's military or attempts to forgive the Japanese government's mishandling of the Fukushima disaster or some combination thereof. I personally disagree with this idea, as for one, while there is a fair degree of fetishistic imagery of military vehicles, the film ultimately showcases non-military tactics as the solution to the problems. As for the Fukushima parallels, I felt the film did not shy away from criticizing Japan's approach to the disasters from a governmental standpoint at all, and the line at the end about the radiation having an extremely short half-life felt less like an assertion about radiation not being that bad, and more like a metafictional hand wave to explain how Tokyo can be rebuilt so quickly. What are your thoughts? The notion that Shin Godzilla, is forgiving the Japanese government's mishandling of Fukushima is ridiculous, and whoever told you that, you should disagree with them, because they are wrong. I'm not one to usually draw a line like that, but I don't even know how you come to that conclusion. The fetishization of Japan's military, there's a maybe on a visual level, but the film was so critical of the SDF and of the Japanese government. Who watches that movie and comes away thinking it's like, it's forgiving the Japanese government of anything or fetishizing them? I don't know. No, yeah, I mean, Zimman, I agree with you. And they're wrong. Like, I got nothing else to say. That's a ridiculous opinion to have on the film. How do you come out of that movie going like, oh man, you know, I guess this movie really showed me how the Japanese government did a good job when they mishandled the Fukushima reactors. Like, holy crap, the imagery in the film is almost direct. There's so much imagery in that movie coming from that. The movie is filled with the anger of somebody who was in Japan, saw that happen, and was like, what's my government doing? Anyway, you know, we have a YouTube Space Tioku episode going up sometime soon of me and Ryan Hoopla talking about Shin Godzilla. If you have more interest in that film, you should check that out. But yeah, Zimman, like, I got your back. If this is some fight that you need backup for, I got your back on this one. Hoopla's got your back too. I'm hearing the buzzing in my ear. Hoopla's got your back as well. It's like, what kind of ridiculous... Anyway, there's another question here. Also, have you seen Pat Labor? It's pretty good and very unlike most other real robot shows. I saw whatever Pat Labor they were showing on Teletoon back when Teletoon was new, and I don't remember any of it. So if I were to be very honest, I would say I probably would not say I've seen much Pat Labor. I've always meant to. I like the design work a lot. But yeah, it's been on my to-do list for a couple decades. Fetishizes Japan's military and attempts to forgive the Japanese government's mishandling of the Fukushima disaster or some combination thereof. It's like someone walking up to me and going like, man, did you see that Zootopia and how it promoted racial profiling and how it promoted division between ethnicities in society? Huh? It sure did, didn't it? And then, like, you know, the only thing to follow up is, like, and also it's weird how Zootopia had no animal people in it too, huh? Weird how the movie was just full of human characters who weren't animal people, huh? Like, what do you say when someone walks up to you telling you lies? You say you're wrong, that's what you say. That's gonna stick with me for a while, the idea that someone was... Holy damn. Malumbo asks, are you gonna do a gut tie thingy for Metroplex? Probably not, because he doesn't combine with anything. But, I don't know. Like, if I was going to do a transformation montage, I feel like I would be more inspired to do it for Fort Max, because Fort Max, to me, has always had more of a pageantry to his transformation, even though they're sharing the mold. Like, I don't know how to explain it any better. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Matt Laub, I hope to hear your extended thoughts on Shin Godzilla, both from a filmmaking perspective and a Toku fan perspective. It felt like it was a film with a lot to chew on. Yes, it was, and you will. YouTube Space Tioku is the spot to watch. It's on this channel. I'm just editing all the videos, and it's taken me too long. But yeah, there's going to be something. And it certainly won't say the film was fetishizing the Japanese military and pardoning the government's response to the Fukushima disaster, because we watched the movie. So we're going to talk about what actually happened in it. Man, Oblivion's Left Hand. You've brought up a few times on the podcast that you're a big fan of the can droids for their ability to all start in the same basic shape and transform into completely different forms. If that's the case, then what are your thoughts on Juoger's Cube Animal line, since they have a very similar premise? I've personally gone completionist on the line. I think they're all pretty neat. Also, I'm a written reviewer since you asked. Good job. I am very tempted by the Mini-Pla for that, because Mini-Pla is like the more posable version, and I do think it's super friggin' cool that everything turns into cubes and then turns into animals and then combines. Like, I really like that approach from an aesthetic standpoint. So the Mini-Pla is kind of on my radar, but I have all this unbuilt Mini-Pla, and I feel weird about buying more until I build what I have, so I'm not sure yet. But definitely, the cube animals caught my eye immediately. Ritimus Prime Reviews. I have a question. Do you think you could ever do videos in your old format and save the complex, hard-to-do professional style for third-party stuff and combiners? The problem with that kind of slippery slope is that I have to start going like, well, should this review be the old style where I do very little work, or should it be the new style where I do more work? And then should those all be considered the same kind of review series, or are those now two different review series? Like, I think it gets too complicated. Old style, I tend to just save for stuff like when I reviewed the ENES replacement hands for MP10 Convoy, when I cover like Legends, not even Legends, but Cyberverse stuff, like the super basic stuff. That's kind of where I feel the most comfortable just improving the whole thing, but I don't want to create too much of a split, because I just feel like that makes for too many questions. He also asks, who would win in a fight, a Metroplex-sized Vangelus versus Metroplex, or Metroplex versus 100 million Vangelus-sized Vangeluses? I think if I'm Metroplex-sized but still made of flesh, I would probably lose, whereas 100 million Vangeluses who are human-sized, no matter what Metroplex does, he's a city bot. We just crawl into all his crevices, fill him with our flesh, and then take him and make him part of us. I am Ulker says, what's your opinion on the new MP Megatron looks? I'm in kind of a pickle about it. Apollyon is beefier, which I like, but does have a few kibbly issues and a bad alt mode compared to the new MP Megatron. I think that if you're going to start comparing stuff, you've got to bring up DX9 Mitron and Make Toys Despotron. But leaving all that out for now, I think the new MP Megatron looks interesting. I like the highly cartoon take they're taking on it, because that's in line with Ironhide and Inferno, which is the new direction Masterpiece has gone of flipping the ratio of toy to cartoonness into a very large extreme. And it makes the official Megatron stand out on its own a lot more, with or without all the third-party ones that are out there, who are all a lot more toyetic. So, you know, that's going to be a road we're going to have to cross when that toy comes out, and then we start doing the comparison reviews that pull out every Masterpiece-style Megatron and just put them all side by side. And even then, I think there's only going to be... It's not going to be about which one's categorically the best, it's which handful are all decent toys. Now choose the aesthetic you prefer, or the leaning towards a piece on your shelf versus a playful tactile piece, etc., etc. I think it's all complicated, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but that certainly is a complicated thing. Gage Loftus, you could be a comedian, Vangelus. No, I couldn't, because I don't know how to deal with hecklers. Like, that's why I record in abandoned, faraway woodlands like here, because there's no one out there to start going like, you suck! You know, like I'm out here in the woods. So, you know, there's just birds chirping. There's a nice Arctic breeze coming through. You know, there's just a cool air in here. Like, ooh, it's cold in here. It's real chilly out here in the Arctic woods, you know? So yeah, I don't know how I could deal with hecklers. Like, unless it was like a heckler where I could just throw a brick at them, so, you know, I just knock them out. That's a simple way to deal with people. That's illegal, though, so, you know, it's one of those social things I've got to try to find a way to overcome. Dice1138, what toy is on your desk? Too many toys. That's what toy. Baconator33, what happened to King Laffo? What happened to King Laffo? King Laffo. I don't know. Tristan Anderson, where can I buy a background setup like the ones you use in your videos? Those are Kotobukiya mechanical chain bases. There is a common knockoff on eBay, and now I believe Captured Prey is selling their own version, which has a name I can't remember, but it's on their website. So that's the easy answer. Check that stuff out. The Last Autobot. Do you speak more than one language? I asked because you put words together in a kind of particular and sometimes rather odd way. No, it's just because I'm very bad at speaking English. But no, I don't speak fluently any other languages other than English. I've learned some German and learned some Japanese. In my elementary school years, I apparently learned some French. I still remember how to say "Je m'appelle le fenêtre," which is a French way of saying hello, how are you doing? My name's Chris Ho, and I hope you're having a very good day. You can use that one, by the way, when you go to France or Quebec. Just walk into a store, say, "Ah, merde, je m'appelle le fenêtre," and they'll know what you're talking about. They'll be able to help you out. SCI Kaiju, probably a dumb question, but does the camera making the snarky comments during the review, at least I assume it's the camera, apologies if I'm wrong, have a name? Yes, it is The Subtitles, capital T, capital S. The Amazing Brave. Combiner Wars question! Do you like to swap Combiner Wars limbs between different Combiner teams, or do you keep all the teams together and never mix and match? Speaking as someone who talks constantly about how great the toy line is for how you can just pull together a Combiner out of anybody, I also almost never mix and match them, because I discovered once I got, Slingshot and Wild Rider, holy crap, do I just like having those teams contained in their nice, happy little boxes. And every time I have, superfluous torsos, I'm just sitting there going, where I need more limbs so I can fill out these torsos and have perfect sets of 5. And it still hasn't happened yet. The Devil You Want to Know asks, how much van can a Vangelus man if a Vangelus could man vans? About 3 metric quart liters. He also asks, any idea of when you'll be getting around to finishing your started Warbitron Combaticons reviews? Really interested in seeing your animations on the final combination, and there's your 3 faces of Bruticus. Brutiful. The problem with the Warbitron Combaticon videos is I only ever had the one, and then I sold him. And I never bought the others. And I don't really want to spend money on the Warbitron Combaticons, because they look nice, but every time I've asked about the combined mode, usually when people tell me that they like it, they also say about 50 caveats. And it all sounds like a lot of work for something I don't really want to go through and spend a couple $100 on. I think the closest I came to doing that was when I got the Unique Toys Orden. I still need to finish those reviews. I actually have that whole set. And I still went through hell modifying Siegfried and all that stuff and waiting for replacement ratchets and blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. If I tripped over a Warbitron Bruticus, I would probably review it at some point, but I just don't want to spend money on one now. Shadow Wingtronics. It so happens that my toy reviews are written, so I can answer your questioning thingy. I guess you can say I do it in sections. I do a brief overview of the figure. If it's a Transformer, GoBot, or similar toy, I start with the alt mode and any features, like if an animal limb moves, and if it has pop-up features. Then there's a section on transforming that I wish I did in video, but I do try to explain it. Whether it's a non-transforming action figure or a transforming figure, I go over the toy as far as how good or bad it looks, then the articulation, followed by my final opinion of the toy overall. Hope that helps and stuff. That does. That sounds very similar to how I do things, actually. Hey, guess what? When we review toys and we write scripts, I bet there's a whole lot of crossover and cross-pollination. Lamano Limoncello, what is your opinion on the Diaclone reboot? I think it looks really cool. I wish that Dia Battles V2 was about $50 less expensive, because I'd like to pick one up, but at $150, I just don't really want to, and then when he's been on sale at $125, I still don't really want to. I've been kind of holding out that he'll go down to like $99. But I think the stuff they're doing looks really neat. It sounds like it's very fun to play around with, so I'm looking forward to the smaller sets they're going to do, like those little suits and everything, and more of the little dudes. We'll see how it looks in 2017 when more of that stuff is out. Shadow Scribe is using Zed, spelled with 2 Ds, a personal thing, praise Lord Zed, or a Canadian thing to root out the filthy Americans. It's a Canadian thing. It's actually a world community thing. We're just trying to welcome all you Americans back into the world community by saying Zed, as it's properly pronounced, not Z-E, as people in the South tend to say it. Zed. Z-E-D. That's how I would spell it. Fred Bob 392, will you ever pay me back the hundreds of dollars I spent on toys you made me want to buy? No, because I don't owe you that. That was a very clever way to try to word it, but you spent that money and gave it to merchants who gave you goods in return. I am separate from those, I almost said partisans. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I have nothing to do with those transactions. So, no, I'm not going to pay you back. I'm going to send that money, and I'm going to spend it on Coke Zero. Delicious Coke Zero. It's over there. That was the Force. That was not a high budget practical effect. That was the Force from Star Trek. Live well and be peaceful. EM Creation Z says the act of killing one's husband is mariticide, unless you, Internet Personality Vangelus, are the wife for whichever reason, in which case it would be, oh man, uxoricide from uxor, Latin for wife. Or insert King Henry VIII joke here. This is from when I said that killing Aaron as a couple in our Lego house would be matricide. And then I felt like that was the wrong word. This is an update. It's a callback. Now, question. Are there any Transformers characters you feel have not yet been given a good enough toy to satisfy collectors? Galvatron? Punch Counterpunch. XCat X25. I have no more questions. I am perfectly happy with the answer at the OTP question. That's actually the question we were just referencing before. Thank you. If a third-party company made a line of model Transformers ships like the Ark, Darkseid, and Lost Light, would you review them? If I had them, I would. Jake Ruppert. Question. What are your favorite line of third-party toys? From Combiners to Headmasters to each of the Dash Masters to individual Megatron and Optimus Prime. So do you mean, are any of those my favorite line? Or do you mean, what's my favorite line of those? Or what favorite line encompasses all those? Or basically, like right now, I think the line that's doing it for me, it's kind of a toss-up between Iron Factory in general and Make Toys Cross Dimension. Those are really just sort of, they're doing it for me. But, you know, it's kind of case by case still. And I might change those answers depending on my mood, because I'm a flake. Optimus Primetime Reviews Transfo ... says, so are you going to do more Repro Labels videos? I really enjoy watching you stick luscious foil paper sticky goodness on toys because it's normal. Yeah, I'm gonna do at least one more because I have I bought myself those the next set of Titans Return Laserbeak things with like the actual physical parts and the new little sheet of stickers. So you're gonna see me put sticky paper on stuff. Yes, you will see more of that in future. Acan Lord, question, have you ever been embarrassed by the sound of your own voice while trying to record a review? I have been thinking about starting up another channel and trying to do reviews, but my confidence level about how I sound is maybe not so great. Yes, constantly. That's why I record a lot of my audio in isolation so I can redo stuff if I think that I kind of mush-mouthed it. But for whatever reason, and maybe this is why I'm so comfortable doing this kind of stuff, I've always liked the sound of my own voice. And I mean that in the many ways one can take that, because it turns out I'm talkative, so I feel very comfortable hearing myself talk, and I feel very comfortable talking. I enjoy talking, and in some way I even enjoy hearing myself talk. So, you know, that explains a lot about my personality, but also explains a lot about how I never really have run into too many problems with speaking in a recorded medium. Acan Lord also asks, what do you recommend so far as cameras for starting out? Use the one on your phone. If you have a modern phone, you probably have a damn good, decent camera in there for making YouTube videos, and I'm not lying. You can just get like a little mini tripod, a little adapter to mount your phone into it, and that way you can start doing stuff without having to actually buy a camera, which, you know, if you have like a modern phone, you don't really need to. He also says, bababu oi, which I'm guessing is some kind of American thing, which, you know, I feel weird saying that in the middle of my Canadian forest, but I'm willing to let that one slide. What is your favorite Generation 2 character? What are your thoughts on the lack of an original 90s G-Axis toy in the old school style? I like G-Axis a lot because he represents so much hammy G2, just 90s nonsense. And I think it's a shame that they never have made one that looks a lot like that guy. Like, our only G-Axis toy, really, so far, it's always like orange jets. Like, you know, that Jetstorm repaint, and then like the Armada Starscream with a new head and new bits, who was also orange. I would love to see just a big, beefy 90s Marvel Comics G-Axis. That would make me happy. But I also do really enjoy the IDW kind of reimagining of him as a weird, rickety old scientist, kooky weirdo guy. So I want both. That's what I want. Zero Anesthetic for You says, Raida Guripingu. Cory Gong! I'm finding that the tiny little hands on my Tenkai Knights have been cracking off, and was wondering how yours have been holding up over time. I haven't messed with my Tenkai Knights in like 2 years, so mine are doing great, but that's because I haven't touched them. I don't know if mine are cracking apart or not. I should... You know what? Maybe I shouldn't take a look. Maybe I should just let sleeping dogs lie and let my Tenkai Knights continue to be mint. X-Lizard, question. Imagine you were the super ultra mega boss man of Hasbro and Takara and you could decide everything Transformers related. Movie shows, comics, toys, and so on. What would you change and what not from the current state? How would the Transformers franchise look like under your supreme rulership? I would definitely shift around the movies a bit, be more experimental, take more risks. Leave the comics alone for now. I would actually try to give the comics a bit more money, or at least figure out what I could do to allow more comics to come out and to give more artists more opportunities to have their stuff put into print. Because it's great that we have, like, holy crap, it's great that we have 3 ongoings. But that annual they did, the winter special, like, I feel like that should be seasonal, and that should be the place for talented colorists who are also talented artists to showcase their skills, for artists who do mostly cover work or mostly guest interior work to showcase more of their skills. Like, I want more opportunity for artists, so it's not a position that's being fought over, or, you know, that's being occupied and leaving a lot of people in the dust. As for shows and toys, like, I don't know, make more of them. Just make me more toys. I'm King Hasbro, and I decree, make me more toys. I want more toys to play with. Make them for me. And then, you know, we just go bankrupt. That's kind of how it would go. Big for no reason 1 says, dude, WTF, ... you went full weirdo, ... Yeah, well, you're the one doing 4 dots for an ellipses. What does that say about you? Aquaraptor 214. Look at that Kim Jong-un hair. Sorry, is someone else in the room? Is it you? Yeah. I don't know, man. Typhlosion27 says, I want to know your opinion on the high-grade Universal Century line of Gunpla model kits and if they're actually some of the best ones out there. I think that in most cases they are, such as the Kamiki Burning Gundam and the high MOC for posing, but there are also some misses with kits that there have been older versions of which outshine the newer models. Well, you know, speaking to you from my position as a Gundam expert, I think that really any kit that isn't a bear guy is kind of missing the point of Gunpla. Because, you know, in my day, Gundam toys were made of die-cast. You know, the Gundam kits were die-cast model kits made with lead paint, you know, and spring-loaded missiles. And nowadays, they're all made so politically correct with their lack of spring-loaded missiles and their plastic construction. It's all just, if it's not a G1 bear guy, it's kind of a missed opportunity and a bit of a slap to the face of the fandom, in my opinion. And I know I speak for Gundam fans everywhere, with my huge popularity as a Gundam kit reviewer. So, you know, I'm not trying to tell you I'm speaking as gospel. I'm just trying to tell you that there ain't no other voice out there that's as gospel as this one when it comes to talking about the HGUC era, G1 bear guy era of Gunpla mini kit model plaws kits. And I also seem to be out of questions. We finished this one up. Real nice and solid. If you have another question you'd like to ask for VQnA number 4, leave it in the comments of this video. Also, feel free to comment in the video if you want. It's going to be in the next one. And yeah, thanks for checking this out. Let's continue this dialogue. I like having these question and answer sessions. I like coming out to the forest to film them. And I really like working with smart, talented young gentlemen like this guy right here, who just makes this a professional experience. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you in the next VQnA.